Hey guys, Player Stage on another video. This one's going to be a Monster Hunter Wild Side Update 4. So essentially, there's 2 weeks left before the release of the last update for this game. If you guys didn't know, our temper Arkveld is about to release, and with it they're going to bring a couple of additional things. So essentially, they're also bringing the collab with Monster Hunter Stories, Twisted Reflection, as well as the design competition weapon that should be arriving within that same update as well. And probably a couple of event quests as well are going to be made permanent. But yeah, so this video is basically about a build that counters Arkveld, his Art Temper iteration completely. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you straight up what we have, and then we're gonna jump into the dummy and try it out to compare it with the another build. So let me just go ahead and show you what we got. So essentially, this is the set. As you guys can see, it looks pretty good. Is at a glance, it is a what most people would call a comfort build. Yes, he has a lot of utility, but he also has a lot of offensive skills. As you guys can see, we of course have critical boost. We have focus for the Great Sword. By the way, you can actually implement this build, adapt it into any weapon, as long as you are using an Artian for GOG, or your weapon does not need focus. You can just slap critical boost on it and just use it on any other weapon if you think that the skills correspond to your weapon. Then you can go ahead by all means and do that. But we also have attack boost, that's from the talisman. The level of handicraft is from the focus jewel that I have slotted on the weapon as well. Mine side from the talisman. Defense boost, 6 of those levels are coming from the talisman as well, because he has 4 levels of defense boost and then 2 level 1 armor slots. And then we have full max out weakness exploit. Here's where the offensive abilities come in. We have resentment 4 levels. We have counter strike and maximum might. After the -10 from the Gork Artin weapon, we're going to be sitting at 70% affinity most of the times with maximum might, as well as weakness exploit when you're hitting a wound. And then here comes what we need for that fight, because every Art Tempered as well as the 9 stars are hitting like trucks nowadays. So we have Divine Blessing. Most importantly, we have Dragon Resistance, and the reason why we have 3 levels of Dragon Resistance is because we're trying to get rid of his Dragon Blight. I was about to call it Elder Seal because that's what it used to be called in other games. But yeah, so the Dragon Blight, it's annoying. He spams it all the time. You can definitely just remove it with the Nullberry, but I just find that to be a pain in the ass. So definitely just slap the 3 Dragon Resistance jewels and basically make yourself immune to it. As you guys can see with the Kunafa Mill, we have 35 resistance to Dragon Elemental. Then we have Stun Resistance for obvious reasons and Speed Eating. Then we have for the set bonuses, we have Bad Blood and Dark Arts, and we also have Lower Souls for the extra 5% additional damage. So let me just go ahead and show you the pieces that we have. Those are the pieces. These are the decorations. That's the way that I have my Great Sword slotted. Like I said, if you're using any other weapon, you can just adapt this build to whatever it is that you're using, as long as you think it'll work fine. And then let me just show you the talisman that I got. And that's the talisman. We'll obviously be using the Rocksteady Mantle for extra DPS. Of course, I know a lot of people will say, yeah, but that's a comfort build. Yeah, that's the whole point. If you think about it carefully, 99% of the player base is actually normal players, and by that I mean they're not speedrunners, they're not pro players, and they're not obsessed with just going all out offensive, because that's a problem that I've come across a lot lately with the introduction of Title Update 4. A lot of players on SOF Flare, they just keep guarding, and they're just running these meta builds that they really don't know how to use, or are at the skill level in which they can survive using those all-out DPS builds. So this is why we have this. This is for the normal player base. This is not catered to pros or speedrunners by any mean. And so essentially, I'm going to be using this build on the nominal to show you what the amount of damage that it can push But before that, let me just go ahead and actually buff. Let me just go ahead and buff really quick. So that you guys can actually see the defensive stats.
All right, time to get serious.
All right, so as you guys can see, we're at 732 defense, and those are the elemental resistances. As I said, that's with a kunafa meal. By the way, I prefer that because, you know, it gives you the defender high, which is very good. Just another chance, basically, to proc divine blessing. So let me just go ahead and show you the weapon. Actually, I don't think I showed the reinforcement bonuses on the weapon. So that's what we got. That's a perfect roll. If you're a Great Sword user and you have this roll on your weapon, you can just, you know, recreate this build exactly as it is. And the reinforcement bonuses are perfect as well. So let me just go ahead and jump to the dummy. I'm gonna just go ahead and show you how hard this build can hit, which is very hard for a build that is mostly on the comfort and survival side, while also being very offensive. And I will compare that with a all-out DPS build actually. So let me just go ahead and buff again because, you know, jumping into the training camp basically resets the buffs that you popped elsewhere. So let's just go straight up and hit this. This is without actually activating the staff at the feline NPC. You see that? So that's how hard it hits. That's actually very, very high. Let me just go ahead and see if we have anything that we could have actually activated.
Want to tweak its behavior?
Wait, where is it? No, this is not where it is. No, there's nothing that we can activate. So as you guys can see, we hit 1,659 as we are right now. We have Counter-Strike. We could possibly activate that. But ideally, you don't want to be getting hit like all the time. So I'm not going to get, you know, knocked back or receive damage to make that proc. So let me just go ahead and quickly change to another build. So let me just use an all-out build. Let me see, what can we do? I think this is it. Let me see. I think I do have an all-out build. Yeah, so this is an all-out build, right? And these are the stats. As you guys can see, we are like almost 100 defense points lower than the other set, which is okay. I mean, this is already a ton of defense, but our elemental resistances are on the lowered. And so let me just go ahead and talk to the feline helper, and let me just have him activate our skills, right? All right, so let's just buff again. Let's make this fair, so we can actually have a decent comparison. This is not going to be 100% accurate versus you going actually on the fight and activating, you know, Counter-Strike and everything with other builds. But let's just hit this and let's see what we can get. As you guys can see, this is hitting slightly harder already, but not that much harder, right? So as you guys can see, we hit lower, but that was because earlier we hit on a wound. So let's just try and see how high we can get with this build. The crazy part is that, okay, here we go. It's gonna break it, I think. Yeah, I did. This one's gonna be more constant, like more sustained damage. But, okay, so as you guys can see, that's the damage that we can do with an all-out like DPS. I don't know why it's hitting lower, and I understand now. It might be because of the bad blood was no, not really. So I don't understand the reason why the other one is hitting much like this one is hitting slightly lower than the other one. Let me just try again. Okay, there we go. There we go. So as you guys can see, that was 1,733 versus 1,659. it's a mere like 80% DPS, and you guys saw like compared to this one how like much utility the other set has. It's much more, you know, resistant, way more defense and survival. So let me just go ahead and just change back to it. Let me just go ahead and change back to it. So like I said, like, you know, there's a chance that the other set that I was using, like the all out DPS, hits much harder when everything is active on the quest. But it's not that much of a difference when you can get all of these things as a normal player for your survival, and you know, to just not ruin others people's quests, respect their time and all of that. But yeah, I hope that you guys like this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I just definitely use this build to counter our temper Arkveld when he releases in 2 weeks. I was planning on releasing this video much closer to February 18th, but I realized that there's a lot of people that picked up the game late. You know, just, you know, probably started playing when like with the introduction of title update 3 or 4, and you know, they don't have all the gear pieces, they haven't transcended their armor and all of that. So I just wanted to release this video so that they can actually have extra prep time. So yeah, guys, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.